I'm Donnetta Byrd with Bird Adventures, and this is our, I guess, third webinar, trying to do one every month with different suppliers and just to everybody to learn about different types of travel and different places to go. And so I have Robin Koval, hopefully I said the last name right, with us from Grand Canyon Railway and Hotel. I have published a poll. If you would answer whether or not you've heard of the Grand Canyon Railway and Hotel before, we'd be interested to know. But I'm going to go ahead and pass it on over to Robin, and she's going to start. If you have any questions, you can put them in the Q&A, and we'll answer them at the end. So go ahead.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you taking the time to even come and listen to me. Although I would say it's more about the train in the Grand Canyon than it is about me, of course, because Grand Canyon seems to be on everybody's bucket list, and train seems to be a lot of what people are interested in traveling by these days. So I'm lucky to have both. I would tell you, I think the train enhances the experience of going to the canyon. But the canyon is the prize in this scenario. I'm not going to lie. That canyon is amazing. I kind of like to call this riding the rails to the rim, because that's really what you're doing, is you're taking the train up to the canyon like everybody used to do in the early 1900s. And as you can see by looking at our logo there, we've been around since 1901. This was how people got to the canyon originally, unless they walked it, muled it, or covered wagoned it up to the canyon. Otherwise, it was by train. So we kind of play on that as far as the train experience goes, so that you have that experience that they might have had in the early 1900s. Let me get over here so my screen changes. But as she said, I'm Robin Koval, and I am a regional sales manager for the railway. I've been with them for 12 years. And prior to that, I did what Donnetta did, and I sold it. So I'm really familiar with this product, and not only with the product, but with the state of Arizona. So if you're going out there to explore, you're coming out to take the train to the canyon, you want to do Sedona, you want to do something unique that's in northern Arizona, I am super familiar with that area, and I know that I can share that information that is in my brain and give you a great time in the northern Arizona area if you want to go. Otherwise, it's just useless information that takes up space in my brain. So I want to share that information with you. And I would be interested in knowing what the results of our poll is at this point. You're on mute.
Yes, I'm muting because I have a dog that barks sometimes. But I think once I hit the results, we may not be able to vote anymore, but let's see what it says. Oh, 40% said yes and 60% said no out of 5 people.
Okay.
So,
That's awesome. So
well,
some of you had heard of us. Yeah, I think that's awesome, because most of the time I hear, nope, didn't know you existed. And so I'm glad to hear that a couple people did know that we existed and that it's an option for going to the canyon. As Donnetta mentioned, if you were on before we started the recording, I did post a video in the chat for you to watch on your own time. We were going to show it as part of the presentation, but it was a little choppy trying to show it through this particular platform. So I just went ahead and put it out there for you to watch. But it really gives you an idea of the experience of the railway, the hotels on either end, with some narration and that sort of thing. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to Donnetta about that after the presentation. But it does give you a good idea, and I hope that I augment it very well as far as the presentation goes. But the most asked question I get as a sales manager is, where is Williams, Arizona? So I want to show you where Williams is and kind of talk about that a little bit. But we are located in northern Arizona, about 3 hours north of Phoenix. We are 3.5 to 4 hours from Vegas. I would say probably closer to 4 hours just because of the traffic. And then Flagstaff is 35 minutes from us. So you can see we're located off Interstate 40. We're also about an hour from Sedona if you're planning on staying a night or two in Sedona. As far as airports go, your major airports obviously are going to be Phoenix and Vegas, but American flies into Flagstaff. So if you wanted to fly into Flagstaff, that's 35 minutes from us and a great place to fly into. And then if you didn't want to rent a car, you can actually use a shuttle service. It's not booked through us, but there are shuttle services available from both Phoenix and Flagstaff to get you over to Williams if you didn't want to rent a car. One tip I will give you about rental cars specifically from Phoenix is I would always rent the car off airport and not at Sky Harbor Airport if you do need a rental car. And that is because they have a tourist tax that is ridiculous on site if you rent at the airport, but you go 2 miles off the airport to a local edition, Hertz or Enterprise or Budget, and you're going to save quite a bit of money. And I have saved well over $1,000 on a 2-week rental, renting off airport versus renting on airport. And it's about an 18-minute cab ride, Uber ride to go over and pick the vehicle up. So just want to throw that out there so you know there is a less expensive way to rent a car in Phoenix if you're going to rent a car. So Williams is a Route 66 town. It has a historic charm that's unlike others. If you've been on any pieces of Route 66, our piece is very unique in that we were native and trained before we were car. So I want you to know it's a very unique piece if you're into Route 66 because of that. And then we also have the whole Disney side of things. We have 2 pieces of our piece of Route 66 that were in Radiator Springs from cars. And then about 30 minutes west of us is Seligman, Arizona, which is Radiator Springs from cars. So you would find the old cars there, the snow cap. It's a pretty neat little marriage there between us and Seligman, Arizona, if you're really into the Disney side of things and want to kind of wrap that around the natural wonder of the world. So let's talk about the hotel a little bit. So in Williams, we actually have a hotel and 2 restaurants that sit on property. This is an aerial view of our property. You'll see the hotel, which is 2 stories and 298 rooms. You're looking at the back side of the hotel there. So if you come out the back doors and cross the courtyard, you have the depot, which is where the train departs from. You pick up tickets there. There's a store there to purchase logoed items. You've got our restaurant, the one that sits outside. And if you book a package that includes meals, they are redeemed at the Fred Harvey restaurant there. And then across the parking lot, if you happen to be an RV person, we have the #1 RV park in the state of Arizona, which I'll talk about here in a minute. So everything is walking distance. Notice the tracks there at the bottom of the slide. If you cross the railroad tracks, you're on Route 66. That's how close we are to Route 66. The other thing to point out is underneath the arrow where it says RV Park is where the Wild West Shootout Arena is and where that takes place every morning, which I'll talk about here in a minute also. But you can see everything is walking distance from us. As far as the hotel goes, we have an indoor pool and hot tub that were remodeled this year, actually. They were completed in January. We do have a fitness center. We have sports courts that include volleyball court, basketball court, horseshoe pits, playground. We have free parking on property. We have free Wi-Fi on property. And then notice in the picture of our lobby there of the hotel to the left of the fireplace, there's a door. That is actually the entrance into our other restaurant, which is Spencer's Pub, which is high-end bar food, would be what I describe that as. So we have multiple options there on property and plenty of amenities. As far as the rooms go, we offer several types of rooms. We have total 11 suites. I'm only talking really about the family suites as far as the picture goes. There's 10 of those. But we do offer a luxury suite called the Rail Baron Suite. We only have 1 of those. And it is a 1,000 square foot apartment, for lack of a better way of describing it to you. But we offer 10 family suites, very similar to an Embassy Suites. If I were to compare it to another property. You have the separate bedroom with 2 queen beds. It has a flat screen TV, a sitting area in the bedroom, and a door. And then when you come out, you'll see the living area there with the flat screen TV and the couch. The couch is actually a pull-out queen also, so it'll accommodate up to 6 people, along with the walkout patio. There is a mini kitchenette in this particular room, and this one actually offers 2 sinks. There's one inside the bathroom, one outside the bathroom, which is kind of nice when you have a family trying to get ready to go over for breakfast or to go over to watch the Wild West shootout before catching the train. But book them early just because there's 10 of them. We also offer standard and deluxe rooms, and obviously these are the majority of our rooms. You'll notice the pictures, they're pretty much similar. So the top picture you see there is a standard room. The bottom one is a deluxe room. And the only difference since COVID with the deluxe rooms, the nice pillows that you see there on the beds were removed after COVID, so they're not on there anymore. But other than that, the rooms look pretty much the same. All of our rooms have air conditioning, flat screen TVs, refrigerators. The fixtures in the bathroom are all the same, whether it's a suite or your standard or deluxe rooms. So really, what's the difference between these two? There's a reason I have them on the same slide, because you'll notice they look pretty much similar. The biggest difference is $20 a night between the two rooms. The deluxe rooms are $20 more, but really, what's the difference, and why would you want a deluxe room over a standard room? And honestly, the only reason you would want a deluxe room over a standard room would be if you want a microwave in the room. Otherwise, they're identical inside, and you would never know the difference between the two unless you knew. So our deluxe rooms offer a microwave, whereas the standard rooms do not. I will tell you the deluxe rooms were the last ones out of our remodel, which the last time we remodeled the rooms were in 2017. And we will be beginning to do that again here in the next year or two. The suites are slated to be done this year. So it'll take us 2 years to get through the remodel, but they'll be done again. But they're nice rooms. And like I said, if you don't need that microwave, I would go with a standard room, because you're not really going to be able to tell the difference. The Fred Harvey restaurant was the green roofed building that we had across the courtyard next to the depot. It is buffet. We serve breakfast and dinner. I would tell you breakfast is probably one of my favorite ones, traveling across the country and getting to eat at a lot of different buffets at a lot of different resorts. We have your normal standard fare that you would find on any buffet. We also offer a omelet and egg station that is cooked to order. But it's funny, and you're going to laugh at me. One of my judgy things I use when it comes to a buffet, I guess, is the bacon, especially on a breakfast buffet. Everybody has a different taste in bacon, and we accommodate pretty much every taste in bacon. So we have what I would call the uncooked bacon, the floppy bacon, all the way up to the crispy burnt bacon, and everything in between to accommodate everybody, which I think is amazing. So I definitely recommend us for breakfast. And then dinner is normally 1 to 2 carved meats. We have a pasta toss station. We offer special recipes that are specific to the Harvey House, which was the original restaurant that was on the Santa Fe line, which we sit on, because we actually own the Harvey Corporation now. So we have some of those original recipes on the buffet, along with the pasta toss station. They have beer and wine for purchase, and we also offer some light entertainment throughout the year that is available. I'm very honest when it comes to our products, so I will tell you, if you are a foodie, I would probably purchase a package with us that doesn't include the food. If you want breakfast, go over and purchase breakfast the morning that you want breakfast. But for dinner, honestly, I would walk over to Route 66 and eat over on Route 66. Support the local businesses. They have a wide variety of options, from a gourmet restaurant that is black tie, white tablecloth serving that has no dress code for patrons that come in to eat, to a fun steakhouse that is there. We have a saloon, and then we have our diners that were actually in the movie Cars that are available for you to eat at, amongst other restaurants. So there are plenty of options for the foodie if you want something special over on Route 66 for dinner. Although a lot of people enjoy the buffet for dinner too. I just want to prepare you and let you know what it is and what your options are. As mentioned, we have the RV park that sits on property. It is the #1 RV park in the state of Arizona and has been since 2018. We have both pull-through and back-end sites. Anybody that stays over at the RV park can use any of the amenities over at the hotel, and vice versa. Anybody from the hotel can go over and use any of the amenities at the RV park. The majority of what people use from the hotel over at the RV park happen to be the fire pit or the grilling area if they're going to stay for a couple days. But it's fun to go over to the fire pit and roast marshmallows, make s'mores. We actually sell the stuff to do so. And the grocery store is walking distance if you want a cheaper option for purchasing them. But it is fun to go hang around the fire pit if you want to, if you're staying over at the hotel. We offer a pet resort for those traveling with their pets. We do not allow pets on the train or in the hotel unless they are certified service animals covered under ADA. But I would consider our pet resort having a separate room for your pet. You can go walk them, you can go feed them. It is the cleanest I have ever been in, and I board my dogs periodically. It smells like walking into a hotel room. Mostly women. We have one guy that works over there now. As long as the dogs are social or cats, they will go back and interact with them so that they're not there alone. But we do have the dog area and we do have the cattery area, and they're very reasonable as far as pricing goes. As mentioned, we have a Wild West shootout. It takes place every morning before the train departs for the canyon. So it is just a fun way to get people excited about getting on the train and that Old West experience that you're going to get when you board the train. I would tell you it's a corny fun. And it's funny. I say we recycle our cowboys because you'll go to the show, and when it's all said and done, the Cataract Creek gang that are the troublemakers all die at the end of the show. Yet we recycle them, and they come back and they rob the train every afternoon on the way back from the canyon. So it's really funny because it's the same guys. If we are running 2 trains, which we did over spring break, we will run the show twice. So there will be one at 9 a.m. and one at 10 a.m. And then the other piece I'll share that isn't on the slide is in November and December, we actually changed the time of the train to an 8:30 departure just because of the time change, and we're running Polar Express and stuff during that time, and we want people to get back early enough for Polar Express. So in that case, we would have the show at 8 o'clock versus at 9 o'clock when we changed the train time. But it is corny fun for the whole family. As far as the train goes, I get a lot of questions on the type of train we run. We run both steam and diesel. Majority of the year, it's going to be diesel if you're a train person. Although if you want to experience our steam engines, we do run them on steam Saturdays. As a matter of fact, a week from Saturday, it'll be running for April. It runs the first Saturday of the month, starting in March through the month of October. So you can always count on that first Saturday of the month. And then we'll run it twice in August and twice in September. But it's really expensive for us to run. It's really unique in that we have converted our 2 engines to waste vegetable oil. So they smell like French fries, which is kind of unusual. But they are 2 of the cleanest burning steam engines in the world, which we had to do in order to take them into the national park to keep them clean. But we're also a sustainable company, and we want to do everything we can to be sustainable. So that was one of our first endeavors, was to convert our steam engines to waste vegetable oil. We offer 6 classes of service on the train. So I'm going to cover some of them. I'm not really going to go into detail on all of them, but that first picture you see there on the left, it looks like school bus type seats, is our Pullman class. We offer another one also called coach class that looks very similar to that. The difference between Pullman and coach is Pullman is the only class of service we do not have air conditioning in. The windows are open in the summertime. We do have heat, so you don't have to worry about that in the wintertime, although the windows are open a lot of times just because it gets pretty warm in there with the heat on. But I would say in that particular class of service, the air conditioning is 40-40. It's 40 windows down at 40 miles an hour. Coach is very similar, but we offer air conditioning. They both hold over 90 people, and I would tell you that both their feel is very similar to a McDonald's playground. There's a lot of younger children that tend to be in that class of service or both classes of service. And we don't have any amenities offered besides a passenger service attendant on board. We do have a cafe car available to purchase items if people would like to purchase snacks, adult beverages, non-alcoholic beverages, but we allow people to bring snacks and non-alcoholic beverages on also because we can't accommodate everybody's dietary needs. However, I will cover the rest of the classes of service. So the next class of service after coach is first class. And honestly, this is the lowest class of service I would recommend, especially if you have children that are 10 years and above. We start offering amenities in this one. There's continental breakfast in the morning, light snacks in the afternoon, complimentary soft drinks, tea, coffee, lemonade. You'll see the seating is very different. It's not school bus type seats. It's more motor coach type seats. In a lot of cases, the seats will rock and face each other. So you're not sitting across from each other or front to back. You're actually facing each other. But first class is the lowest class of service I ever did when I rode the train before I ever went to work for them. And I will tell you, I was perfectly happy in first class. You'll notice there's children in first class. I should tell you, children for us are ages 2 to 15. A 16-year-old is considered an adult, and under 2 years old would be a lap child. And we do need to know that there's going to be a lap child on, although we don't charge for a lap child. So you would need to let Donnetta know if you're booking a lap child so that we can make sure we know they're going to be on the train. We also offer an observation dome. This is the last class of service that we allow children in, which again are ages 2 to 15. These are the bubble domes like you see in Alaska, or the Vista domes. So if you notice in the left-hand picture with the couple looking out with the camera, down below there are some windows down there. That's actually first class down below. As far as the upper area goes, that fits 24 people. Cools down to about 74 degrees just because the sun's beating down on the glass. It's almost 100% glass that you're up in, and heat rises from the bottom. So just be aware if you're booking this particular class of service, it does cool down to about 74 degrees. But it is the last class of service we allow children in. If you're not traveling with children, so 16 and above, and you want a dome, but you want something a little nicer or that cools down a little bit more, I recommend our luxury dome. This is an American Orient Express car that we put on the tracks, and we run historic train cars. We cut the top off the passenger cars, and we put we actually remodeled 2 of them into domes. This particular car, as you can see, looking at that left-hand picture, it's 2/3 window, 1/3 solid. We were able to put 2 air conditioning systems in here. It'll fit 55 passengers. It has 2 bathrooms and 3 bars on board. And notice the windows in that bottom right picture you see underneath the dome. There's just a sitting area downstairs. It's oversized couches and chairs. So we don't assign seats down below, whereas we do up top. So you can go up and down as you choose to. Unlike the observation dome, the lower level's first class. So unless there's empty seats down below, you can't just go downstairs and sit down. So that's really, truly the difference, besides the fact that luxury guarantees no children. which I think is awesome. And remember, I said I was perfectly happy in first class? I was until I did a luxury, and now it's really hard to go back. You don't know what you don't know. But luxury dome is one of them, and then we have luxury parlor car. Luxury parlor is always the last car or the last two cars we have on the tracks, depending on the time of year and how many seats we sell. The last car has the platform off the back, so you can go outside. These are more like lounge chairs that overlook big picture windows. And I like both luxury classes, but I have to tell you, I tend to be partial to the parlor car. It's personal preference, but we can split the class of service on the train. So I would recommend, if you're doing luxury, that you go up to the canyon in the luxury dome and come back from the canyon in the luxury parlor car. The price is the same. Then you get to enjoy both. You get an assigned seat in both. Although I will share with you, luxury for us has access to the entire train. So if you wanted to go up and visit another class of service or sit if there's an open seat, you actually are welcome to do so. If you wanted to go round trip in luxury dome, you have access to the luxury parlor car and the platform. It's just, if there's not an empty seat, you're not going to be able to sit back there and enjoy it. And vice versa, if you go round trip in the parlor car, you have access to the luxury dome. You definitely will be able to sit in the lower level of the luxury dome, but there may or may not be seats in the upper area to enjoy. This is kind of the scenery on the way up. Just wanted to point that out. I would never describe us as a scenic train, although I find us very scenic. Everybody's definition is different. So the first picture you see there on the left going into the Pinyon Pines, that tends to be about 30 minutes before you get to the canyon. I will tell you, Williams sits at 6,500 feet in elevation. The canyon is at 7,500 feet in elevation. So just realize that we're higher than Denver. But notice the pictures there in the middle and on the right where you're seeing more desert. It would be because you're dropping below 5,000 feet in elevation. So you're truly on top of a mesa in the high desert. You're going to see a lot more wildlife out in that area. I find it very scenic, but I tend to describe us more as historic, adventurous, nostalgic, that sort of thing. As I mentioned, the train does get robbed every afternoon on the way back from the canyon. You'll see the Cataract Creek gang there getting ready to board and rob the train. One tip I'll give you at this point is tipping is appropriate. And I say that because I'll go out and read TripAdvisor periodically, and I can kind of read between the lines. We'll never ask for tips, but it's appropriate to your experience. So I would recommend bringing $30 broken down into fives and ones with you so that you're prepared. And your passenger service attendant would be like $5. If you take a tour at the canyon, your bus driver would be $5. Any of the entertainment on the train, since we do have entertainment that goes through the train, $1. The train robbers, $1. The Cataract Creek gang at the Wild West Shootout, if you want to take a picture with them or with their horses, $1, kind of that sort of thing. But it is based on your experience. So if you didn't have a great time or you didn't like how something was handled, don't tip them. And if they exceeded your expectations, you can tip them more. But just know that it's appropriate as far as the experience goes. So then we're going to arrive at the canyon. The ride from Williams up to the south rim of the Grand Canyon is 2 hours and 15 minutes. You're going to arrive just steps from the rim. So the train does not go into the big hole in the ground. It goes into the south rim Grand Canyon National Park. So you can see here's the train coming in. Just off the picture there to the right is where the depot is located. Here is the big hole in the ground. So if I were to cross the street where you see that bus at, there's a set of stairs there. Once I cross the street, it is 75 of my steps to the rim. So you're just steps from the rim when you arrive. Also notice the brown building there, that is Eltivar Lodge. The white building, whoops, let me go back. The white building there to the left of Eltivar is Kachina Lodge. The white roof going off the picture there on the left is Thunderbird. And then just off the picture there to the left is Bright Angel Lodge. I'm not really going into the lodges and describing them to you, but there are 4 lodges there on the rim. They can be booked as part of a railway package because we run those lodges. It's just we don't get a room block there. It's on availability if you want to stay at one of those. But I will talk about the 2 we do get our room block at. So lodging at the South Rim. Here's a mock-up map of the South Rim Village. You noticed I mentioned the bus there that was across from the depot. There is free shuttles that will get you around the village and to the different viewpoints. This particular map shows you the blue shuttle, which was the one that you saw across from the depot that I pointed out. That takes you around the village. As far as where things are, you'll see the dotted line there at the top. That's the rim. If you go to the left side of the picture, you'll see the blue shuttle as far left as you can go near Bright Angel Trailhead and the History Room. Next to that, just to the left, would be where the red shuttle picks up. And if you go all the way to the right-hand side where you see the blue top buildings where it says Visitor, almost Visitor Center going off the map there, that's where you would pick up the other shuttles. And there's a yellow shuttle and a purple shuttle that can be picked up there. The purple shuttle I want to mention just because if you're going up for the day, you can't take that one. It goes into the entrance town of Tucson, not Tucson, but Tucson, which is outside the national park. That is where the McDonald's is. There's ruins. There's an IMAX theater out there that you can go visit as part of your time at the canyon if you're staying overnight. However, you are leaving the national park. So if you're going up on the train, you're going to want to take your train tickets with you, both your northbound and southbound, because that shows you paid your park entrance fee. If you have a park pass, make sure you have it with you, because if you do not, they will be charging you the park entrance fee again if you're taking the purple shuttle out of the park. However, let's talk about lodging here. Maswick North specifically is where we get our room block for train passengers. We get 50 rooms per night. This particular lodge has 12 buildings. They are 2-stories. There are 280 rooms, and you will notice there are stairs as far as going upstairs. There's only one lodge at the canyon that has elevators, which I'm going to show you next. Otherwise, it is stairs. And I can tell you, if you have a limitation, we're great at it. We roll the dice and we hit every time. You'll probably be at the furthest building away and in an upper room. So if you have any limitations, please let Donnetta know if she's booking you so that we can make sure that we accommodate appropriately, because there are 12 buildings. But you can see it's 2 queen beds, flat screen TV. They have a walkout patio. You can go sit outside. They're decent rooms, and it sits about 2 football fields off the rim, about a quarter of a mile walk. There is a blue shuttle pickup at the lobby area for Maswick, both north and south. Here's the map again, but notice we have one also called Maswick South Lodge. Maswick South is a new lodge. It is only 2 years old in June. It is the first lodge built in the national park system since the 1970s. There are 120 guest rooms. We have both king and queen rooms. It's very technologically advanced, including the elevators. There are 4 buildings that are very close to the lobby. So if you don't mind staying at a slightly different lodge and you're booking early enough and there's availability, I highly recommend Maswick South. It is my favorite lodge currently outside of the 2 that are on the rim. And if you stay at 2 on the rim, I love Kachina and Thunderbird, which are identical. It's just whatever one is available. But even over that, this is my favorite these days, just because it is newer and a lot nicer inside. Like I said, there's king rooms, queen rooms. We actually even have kitchenette rooms if you need a kitchenette in the room. So runs about $50 to $60 more nightly in Maswick North, but it is definitely worth it if you want to stay at a newer lodge. There's plenty of dining up at the canyon. That's another question I get. El Tovar has a gourmet dining room that serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner that I highly recommend making reservations for, and those can be made 30 days out. Arizona Steakhouse sits at Bright Angel Lodge. It is just outside the lodge. You don't enter from the inside, you enter from the outside. They serve lunch and dinner. And I will tell you that Arizona Steakhouse is my favorite place for dinner when I go up there to eat, and El Tovar is my favorite place for breakfast. And here's why. So for breakfast, it's what you know, but not what you know at El Tovar. And I'll give you an example. Everybody knows pancakes and loves pancakes for breakfast, but theirs is a little different. It is blue corn, buckwheat, polenta pancakes with a prickly pear syrup and a pine nut butter. So it's more of the Southwest flair and unique to the area. Dinner at Arizona Steakhouse tends to be similar to dinner that you get at El Tovar. So the steaks are the same, they're the same quality. They both serve vegetarian, chicken, and those sorts of things, vegan options. It's just it's going to tend to be a little bit less expensive at Arizona Steakhouse and have a little more flavor to it. So more of the Southwestern flavors are what you're going to get at Arizona Steakhouse versus El Tovar. Fred Harvey Burger and Tavern has changed their name to Fred Harvey Cafe. Same place, same menu. It is inside of Bright Angel Lodge, and it is your quick service restaurant that doesn't serve you so quickly. So if you're only going up for the day and not staying the night, I do not recommend going over here to eat because you only have 3.5 hours at the canyon. If you're going up for the day, and you could spend the entire time trying to get a meal here, but it is your burgers, your quesadillas, your salads. Maswick Cafeteria, which is right off the Maswick lobby, has multiple options, quick grab and go. They have a nicer meal. Last time I was there, they had ribs and tri-tip. They had a salad and sandwich making station. They had pizza available. And then for dinner, they open a pizza pub, which is amazing. They do that right because that's all they serve is pretty much pizza, salad, soda, beer, and wine. It's pretty simple. And they do a great job. So for the picky eater, Maswick Pizza Pub or Cafeteria is fabulous. And they also serve gluten-free options along with dairy-free options. Sightseeing at the canyon, there's plenty of it. You have 7 museums up there, from the Visitors Center to Yavapai Geology Museum, which gives you one of the best views of the canyon. Hopi House is an architectural wonder and a Native American store. Hermit's Rest boasts the world's largest beehive fireplace, which looks like a beehive cut in half inside the building. Also where Thelma and Louise drove off the canyon in the movie. We have Bright Angel History Room, Culp Studios, which is where the Culp brothers were housed in the early 1900s. They were the first to take pictures and film the canyon. So there are plenty of things to do if you stay overnight up at the canyon. We have optional day tours available if you're staying overnight. But before I get into the overnight ones, I'll tell you, as part of the train and you book a package, a lot of our packages include a tour. It's called the Freedom Tour. It's an hour and a half, and it'll take you to 2 to 3 viewpoints. And then you'll have about an hour and a half on your own if you're only going up for the day to shop and explore. There's also one called the Grand Tour, which can be booked if you're going up for the day. That is the same tour as the Freedom Tour, only it adds a buffet lunch. If you're staying the night, another tour we offer as part of the railway is called the Arizona Sunset Tour. The Arizona piece is lunch off the menu at Arizona Steakhouse, and you get a semi-private sunset tour. But outside of that, we offer regular sunrise and sunset tours up the canyon that can be booked. You've got the Desert View Tour, which is takes you out to Desert View Watchtower, which is the picture you see with the big stone tower overlooking the canyon. That's one of my favorite tours to take the day you take the train back to Williams. It leaves at 9 and gets back about 12:30 in the afternoon. There's one that'll take you out to Hermit's Rest. You can combine a couple of those tours if you like. And then if you're staying overnight, 2 nights, you can do the Canyon River Adventure, which is a flight over the canyon, a private Navajo guided tour out of Page, Arizona, of Antelope Canyon, and then you get a smooth water float on the river, which is in between two dams. And when I say it's smooth, there is a motor on those rafts. And you're going to go past petroglyphs, have lunch on the side of the river, that sort of thing. But you can also book the smooth water raft tour on its own without flying over the canyon and doing Antelope Canyon. So there is plenty to do and add on while you're up there. Papillon Tours does a helicopter tour that could be added on by Donnetta for you. There are Hummer tours you can do up there. That is private through Buckwild Hummer Tours, which is also through Papillon. So there is plenty for you to do and see while you are up there. As far as northern Arizona goes, specifically Williams, if you wanted to stay an extra night or tour, there is plenty to do. There is a wildlife park in Williams, which I highly recommend. It's called Bearizona, and I go every time I'm there. The animals are a bonus to me because I just love being outside. But they have a drive-through area, which is about 2 miles, where the bears and the animals are in their natural habitats and are free to roam around in their natural habitats. They offer a VIP tour that will take you around with a guide and some extra experiences, which I also recommend. And then they have a 3/4 mile walk-through area with rescued animals, including a petting zoo. They have rescued jaguars and grizzly bears, bobcats, otters, you name it. But it is a rescue facility, so all the animals that they have here were rescued or given to them by other zoos or wildlife parks where they couldn't have them anymore. You've got Sunset Crater National Monument, which is a dormant volcano. You've got Wapaki National Monument, which are Pueblo ruins. Sedona is about an hour and 15 minutes from us, which is Red Rock country. So there is plenty to see and do in the area if you wanted to stay an extra night or two in Williams and just use that as your hub and go out and visit other areas. We offer special events throughout the year, the most popular being our Polar Express, which is in November and December. So if you're out there visiting the canyon and you want to add Polar Express tickets on, you can. But visiting in November and December is also awesome, whether you do Polar Express or not, because Williams becomes that hallmark town, kind of, to speak of. And then you're not really competing for people up at the canyon because the canyon's not super busy in November, December. If you're coming out with a group of people or you want to do something really special and more luxury, we offer charters. So we call them our Rail Baron charters. You can charter your own car on our regular train departures. So it's your own private car with your own passenger service attendant, and we can somewhat customize it. If you really want to go above and beyond, you can charter your own train even to the canyon with your own departures, your own tours, those sorts of things. So that's one way we've done it. And a charter can become a group even, depending on how many people you have. It might be beneficial to do the charter and have the private car versus individual seats on the standard train. But our most popular charter is our Ultimate Polar Express charter. So we do a regular standard Polar Express, and then we take it over the top with our private charter. It is a max of 32 people. You get your own chefs, your own conductor, your own Santa. We do a hot cocoa bar. You get sugar cookies, snacks. There's a bar on board for the adults. But really and truly what makes this special is you get your own Santa for the trip back from the North Pole. He gives special gifts to the children, which include a dated silver collectible bell. Last year they did a lantern, and then you're getting a ceramic mug, Polar Express mug for the hot cocoa bar. We actually ask for the kids' names, ages, likes, dislikes, good, bad, hobbies, all of that stuff, and we feed it to Santa ahead of time. So he has all that and knows it when he gets on the train, and will blow those kids' minds with what he knows. We have parents that bring their Santa gifts, and because our charters are luxury, we have a concierge that meets everybody, handholds them and takes care of them. He actually picks up the gifts and gets them to Santa, and he brings them on and distributes them to the kids. So it is a very memorable experience if it's something that you would be interested in doing. I actually have a lady that has booked it 4 years in a row just for 3 people. And it's a very expensive endeavor, in my opinion, for 3 people. But you know what? It's about the memories with her and her son. And I fully expect for her to send me a text message and do it again this year. So it is definitely worth it and a memorable experience if you want something special around the Christmas time for family. Some travel tips I'll give you. The second most asked question I get is, when is the best time to go to the Grand Canyon? And I'm going to tell you, there's no bad time to go to the Grand Canyon. It really is about the experience you want. So if it's about the weather and you want it warmer, then you're going to want to go in the summertime, because honestly, you're at 7,500 feet in elevation. So the summer is pretty nice, and it doesn't tend to get out of the 90s. And most of the time it's in the upper 80s and low 90s in the summer. If it's, you want the snow, which is the most beautiful time I've ever seen the canyon. Those ledges snow-kissed are amazing. Then you're probably going to want to do January and February. If it's about the Christmas experience, then it's around Polar Express. If it's around the steam engine, it's going to be on steam Saturdays. If you want to stay away from busy, you stay away from spring break, which is March and April for us, and then holidays, and again, summer. But September is also busy for us. So it really depends on the experience you want as far as when is the best time to go to the canyon. Some tips I'll give you, especially if you're staying overnight up at the canyon. But again, I mentioned that the altitude is 7,500 feet. You do get dehydrated really quickly. I would bring a refillable water bottle with you. We do not sell plastic water bottles with water in it, because we are green and sustainable. But we do have refillable water stations everywhere. Of course, you're going to want to bring sunscreen and hats. You do still burn in the altitude. And honestly, I almost think you burn more because you're higher in altitude. Even if it feels like it's 70 degrees outside. Clothing, you're going to want to dress a layer to shed. And it's because it's going to be cooler in the morning. You're in the desert. Even in the summertime, you're going to be in the 40s and 50s, even though you're going to get up into the 80s and 90s during the day. In the fall, you're probably going to be in the 20s and 30s in the morning, and up in the 50s, 60s, maybe 70s during the day. Depends on when you're going. So you're going to want to pack so that you can layer and shed. Closed-toed shoes. There's a lot of loose gravel up at the canyon. Along the edge, you could slip really easy. You're going to want to have shoes that are going to have a nice grip on them, like hiking boots. Make sure they're broken in. But closed-toed, not only because of the loose gravel, but I will tell you, I've seen twice last year where people's toes were bit by the squirrels, which are the most dangerous animals up the canyon because they carry rabies and you can't catch them. But I guarantee you they were really close to those squirrels too. They didn't just run up and bite their toes. You're going to want to take a backpack with you and take what you need for the day. If you're staying overnight, we transfer your luggage from the hotel in Williams to your room up the canyon. You're not going to have access to your luggage, so you're going to want to take with you what you need for the day: your hat, sunscreen, your jacket or sweatshirt, any medications, your snacks, any stuff you want to put in your water to flavor it, anything like that. You're going to want to take with you for the day. If you're staying overnight at the canyon, you're going to want to bring a flashlight with you. And I don't mean your phone flashlight. I mean a real high lumens flashlight that turns on and off. We are a dark skies park. So if you're into astrotourism, love staring at the skies, this is a great place to come. There is very little ambient lighting up at the canyon. So you're going to want to have a flashlight when you're walking around at night. One, to see where you're walking, because again, there's a lot of loose gravel. There are areas that aren't railed. But two, there are animals up there most of the time. And I can tell you, every time I've been up there, it's deer and elk. But I want to know that it's deer and elk and not something else, because I know there's other animals up there. So you definitely want to bring a flashlight with you for that. if you are into astrotourism and night sky watching and stars and that sort of thing, I would plan to go around a new moon. You can see the Milky Way with your naked eye. I was there in November for the first time during a new moon, and all the times I've been there. And I actually got a picture of the Milky Way with my iPhone. That's how clear it was. If it's around a full moon, it's also amazing because the canyon is lit up with a full moon at night. It's just unheard of what your eyes see. So just know these are just some tips I would tell you. There's probably others I could give you. Probably one for me that I would say that's not on the list is I take gel saline with me for my nose because it's so dry and the altitude. Normally within 24 hours, if I don't have it and I'm not using it, I would start getting nosebleeds really bad. So that would be something I would recommend that somebody normally wouldn't tell you to do. But because I get nosebleeds, I tend to take it. And it happens to be the gel versus the liquid saline. So that is the presentation I have for you. I will turn it over and see if we have any questions from you that I can answer. And hopefully I didn't fill your brains with too much information.
Well, I don't see any questions in there. And every time I do one of these events, I'm ready to travel to wherever we're talking. So I'm ready for my luxury dome to get one way and the parlor class coming back because I love going at the end of the train at the end back and watching from there.
Well, and I would tell you the reason I started saying that, because you can split any class of service, but I was on the train with a group and I happened to be what I called the paid picture taker. So I was taking pictures with the marshal, with people, and they weren't in my group. They were just people. So I stayed out there until my group got on, and I had a coworker with me. And so we got on, and of course we have assigned seats. So I get on and I'm like, where are my seats? And she actually is so nicely points at the people across from her sitting in my seat because she had already told them they shouldn't have been sitting there. And by the way, they would have moved if I hadn't been an employee. But we started talking to them and they nicely offered me their seats in Luxury Dome when we were in Luxury Parlor. But that taught me because they booked their own travel and they didn't know what they didn't know, right? And they just thought, well, I want to experience the luxury parlor car too, so I'm just going to come sit back here. You're welcome to go sit in my seat. Go ahead. Not realizing they would have probably had to go back to their seat had I not been the person that they had taken their seat. But it taught me to suggest splitting the class of service. And even if budget is a concern, and you want to do something special at some point, go up in first class and come back in luxury because you can do that also. Yes. It doesn't have to be splitting luxury round trip, but it is a great way to experience the train.
Yeah, I really like luxury on trains because the view and I don't know, I'm kind of spoiled, I guess. But it looks like it's a great time, whichever ticket you choose. So yeah. I think I like air conditioning, so we'll probably keep with that. So I want to thank everybody for coming. And Robin, thank you so much for going over all of that. I learned a lot about it. And I think it's time to put together a group. Now I just got to figure out the best time of year because they all sound fun. So since I guess it's been almost an hour and people, I think a question came in. Let me look real quick. Oh, Sharon, thank you. I'm so excited. So yeah, we'll talk more offline. I think this sounds like a great trip for what you were looking for. And gosh, maybe I'll have to hide away in your suitcase and go with you. But we'll go ahead and end with that. And if you're interested in going on this trip, just contact me and we'll discuss it more. And if you have a group that you'd like to take where your family, around Christmas, and you want all your nieces and nephews or whatever to go, it sounds like a great time on the movie I can't think of right now that my kids loved, Polar Express. Yeah. So with that, we'll say good night. And next month, I can't remember what I have on the schedule, but I hope to see everybody again next month. Thank you.
All right, good night. Thanks.
Bye. Thanks again.
Bye-bye.